Hi, this is Janice. I am unique in him, and right now I'm going to talk about my weight loss journey just a little bit. Last week, it was a very busy week, but it was a good busy week, and so I have to really, I keep saying this, but now with my schedule, I have to basically plan my exercise. And right now, I normally exercise in the morning. However, with my schedule, I'm going to have to adjust it accordingly based on what I will be doing, throughout the week. But one thing I had not shared with you that I had tried, a friend of mine on Facebook had, everybody's posting stuff on Facebook, and she had a recipe called the Fat Flush Water. And what it was is that you would take you had ingredients per 8 ounce servings, but what I did was I used a pitcher, I guess it was like a 32-ounce pitcher, to put, well, actually, it may have been more than 32 ounces because I got like 2.5 days worth. So let's see, three, that's 24, 48. I'm sorry, 24, 48, 48, and 20, 24. About a six, I guess it was like a 64-ounce pitcher. But basically, the ingredients were for, like I said, ingredients per 8 ounces is you take one slice of grapefruit, one tangerine, a half a cucumber slice, two peppermint leaves, and ice. So what I ended up doing was I took the ingredients, but I increased the tangerine. I did not increase the grapefruit because you take a whole grapefruit, and most grapefruits are pretty big. And I just sliced it really, really thin. And then the cucumber, it asked for a half a cucumber, but the very first day that I used a half of a cucumber, it was too much because I actually tasted more cucumber than I did anything else. So what I did was put maybe about an eighth or um, 2/3 of a cucumber, especially if it was really long, but I did slice it very, very thin. What you do is you wash the grapefruit, the tangerine, and the cucumber, and peppermint leaves, and you slice the cucumbers, leaving the skin on, the grapefruit leaving the skin on, and you can peel the tangerine, and you combine all the ingredients, the fruit, vegetables, in 8 ounce of water and ice into a large pitcher. Now, what you're supposed to do, you should drink at least 3 8-ounce glasses per day. They say the longer that it sits, the better it tastes. And you can eat the fruit afterwards, but they are intended as flavoring and still work, so that's a personal choice. The vitamin C turns fat into fuel, the tangerine increases your sensitivity to insulin, and the cucumber makes you feel full. And it says try it for 10 days and see what you think. Well, I actually did try for 10 days, and I have to say that this was one of the first things such as this that I've used that I actually felt like it did what it said it would do. Um, I was very consistent about, drinking it, and normally I would try to drink it. I wouldn't recommend you drinking it on an empty stomach because depending on how sensitive you are to, especially grapefruit, it might be a little too much for you first thing. I would recommend that you eat and then maybe, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, an hour after you eat to go ahead and do it. But I can tell you that it does flush. And I need to verify because I really think it's more, it is like a detox in some sense of the word. But I did feel like I had more energy because, like I said, I was really, really busy last week and everything. But I would recommend trying it. I will put everything down at the bottom. Again, I use one big grapefruit and I sliced it up. I use like maybe 3 to 4 tangerines because the tangerines are small. So one tangerine to a 64-ounce container of water is you're not going to, it won't do anything. So I would recommend putting 3 or 4 tangerines. Again, the cucumbers, unless you just love cucumbers, I would recommend doing less than half a cucumber. But if you try it, if you like it, that's fine. But I did not like it, so I did less than half a cucumber. And then you need 2 peppermint leaves, and you need the real peppermint leaf, not the dried herb. You need the actual peppermint leaf, and you could actually find it like when you go into your grocery store. It may be over where the fruits and vegetables are, but they will have it in a container. It might also say mint, just MINT, and that's the same as peppermint. But if you see it and it says peppermint, then you that. And then, of course, the ice, it really, really makes a difference with the ice. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out is that for the 64-ounce pitcher, or the pitcher, if you remember the old Kool-Aid, like the Kool-Aid ad, the pitcher that they show on the Kool-Aid, that's the pitcher that I'm talking about. And I actually purchased mine from Walmart. Actually, I got two. You can find them over in the area that they sell like the um, not silverware, well, silverware, but the glassware area. Just look like maybe at the bottom shelf, because sometimes depending on where you are, what Walmart and how they stock everything, it might be up further. But if you don't find it where like you have you can buy the glassware sets, look like at the very bottom shelf, and they will probably have the pictures down there. But I got the one that was shaped like the Kool-Aid size, but they do have different sizes. So if you get a bigger picture, you can just adjust the ingredients to that. But again, I would think one grapefruit, especially if it's a big grapefruit, will be more than enough, because I put it this way: the one grapefruit, um, especially the last day, because the last day I only did enough, which was day number 10. I did enough for just that one day, which was 24 ounces of water, and the grapefruit was very overpowering. So I just don't want you to overdo it with the grapefruit, because it will work. One will work. Um, but in the picture that I had, I got 2 days, 2.5 days worth of water. And what I would normally do after I drank my water for the second day, I would go ahead and put 8 ounces and pour it in and set it my pitcher back in the refrigerator. And then the third day I would have, the full 3 glasses, or the full 24 ounces, which is 3 8-ounce glasses. After you finish the 3 days, empty out, throw the fruit away, and start over again. So basically, um, you'll need at least 3 grapefruits. Well, just say 4, because you have that one day by itself. 4 grapefruits. You can at least 2 cucumbers. But if it's a really big, long cucumber, you can probably get at least 3 days out of that one cucumber. And the tangerines, I would suggest getting those cuties. That's what I got, because they're really small and they have maybe about 20, 24. So, get 3 or 4, depending on your liking. And don't forget the peppermint, okay? Because a lot of times people forget the peppermint. But then again, like I said, with everything, one thing that works for one person may not work for another. But I believe, because this is all natural, that it will work. As I said, it worked for me, and I could tell the difference even when I put this dress on, because one of my biggest problems is my stomach area. I had a lot of like bloating and everything, but this really, really did a great job. And all I have to say is, when you use it or do it, you might want to make sure you don't have to be going like, out anywhere for a couple hours, because the first time that you drink it, you're probably going to go to the restroom quite a bit. And after you make it for the very first time, or even after you start making it again, make sure that you give yourself at least, the first day that I drank it, I made it and I waited for like 3 hours. I would recommend 3 to 4 hours so that it will be able to really sit there and, mix better, because that's what it says. The longer it sits, the better it tastes. Um, Again, try it. If it works for you, it does. And I say this because on my other video channel, YouTube channel, I think I showed it on there. I might not have showed it on YouTube. I may just put it on video and Facebook in one of my groups. But I tried to do the Dr. Oz 3-day detox, and it was just plainly mostly fruits and vegetables. You did have stuff like almond peanut butter, um, and there was some, I think, coconut milk, and I mean coconut water, and it may have been the coconut water, and there was some other stuff. But if you Google Dr. Oz 3-day detox, you can pull it up. And I actually, I'm gonna be honest, I really wanted to do it. I was excited about doing it because I felt like by it being fresh fruits and vegetables, I would not have any problems with it. But boy, one thing I found out, I do not like kale. And I'm gonna revisit it again. I won't do it, anytime soon, but I think I will revisit it again. And what I will have to do is, where it requires kale, I think I'm gonna do half and half with the kale and spinach, because I do like spinach a whole lot better. But I was just saying, comparing to Dr. Oz, because it was all fruits and vegetables as well. But I just, I did 2 days, and I started into my third day. At the end of the second day, my stomach was cramping really, really bad. I was getting some pains and things like that, and it was like, okay, Janice, this is not a good idea for you. So I didn't make it through the whole 3 days, but I'm believing God that He will give me the strength that I need, because, as I said, my goal for my weight loss is to lose between 90 to 100 pounds. I want to do it at a reasonable rate. I want to do it eating healthy. I want to exercise. Um, when I lost the 70 pounds, when I lost the 70 pounds previously, back in 2007, 2008, the first 40 pounds, they came off. And I want to say sweatlessly, because I was faithful with my exercising. I was eating healthier, fresh fruits, vegetables, eating like chicken and fish, staying away from a lot of, red meats and stuff like that. So the weight, I found that as heavy, when you're very, very heavy, you can lose. It's not like a big thing to lose anywhere from 5 to 6 pounds. I've known people, like on the Biggest Loser, they've lost 22 pounds, so that's not a big deal. But what happens, your body you come to a plateau. And so it couldn't go any further. And I actually got a trainer, and had I stuck with the trainer, I probably would have did better. But I also ended up going to LA Weight Loss. It was a weight loss center because I really wanted to get the weight off and so forth. And I have to say the program worked. It truly, truly did work. But my only concern about programs, even with Weight Watchers, they got Jennifer Hudson, she's the spokesperson for it, and Jessica Simpson, and then they got Nutricenter or Nutra whatever, and then they have Jenny Craig, and now they got the Sensa with the young lady that played in The Help. She's a spokesperson. And, all of those things are great, but I'm telling you, if you're not going to continue to eat that way, which is to eat their foods or to use their products, and you go back to regular food without really changing anything, the weight is going to come back on. It's going to come back on more drastically than it did, and then the next time you have to lose weight, it's going to be just that much difficult. So the best thing to do, if you truly, truly, now I do know for some people they need the extra help, and I will never tell anyone, if you need help, like the gastro bypass and so forth, if you need that, fine. But I'm just saying, know that if you do not do it, if you're just trying to find a quick fix and you're like, oh, well, I don't feel like exercising. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to eat healthy. I don't want to, you're just setting yourself up for failure, because those things, they work for a minute, but guess what? When you go back to eating real foods, the weight will come back on. And then you have to look at Jennifer Hudson is getting paid. All of those people that are advertising, they're getting paid for what they do. So of course they're gonna pump up the ratings or talk about how great the program are. If I was getting paid, I would be saying how great it is too. But the bottom line is my goals, and I would recommend for anybody that if you're truly desiring to lose weight and everything, the first thing that I do is that I commit my goal or my desires to God. I pray. I ask God to give me the strength and the will to be able to make correct choices as far as foods to eat, even when I decide to have something that may not be the healthiest thing for me to eat, that I use portion control. Because, every now and then, everybody wants something that tastes good. You want something that you like, but then the bottom line, we have to decide, do we want to keep eating things that are going to kill us, or do we want to eat so that we can live, and that we can live a long time and live a healthy life? So that's my goal. But I just wanted to, come on and just share that with you. And my goals now is, I have to start adding weight training into my program. So my goal is to go back to the gym. I've been trying to go back to the gym, but I just had so much to do. However, I have to put first things first, and I know in order for me to do what God called me to do, I have to make sure that my health is at its premium. So I'm putting that right after Jesus and my family, my health. And actually, even with your family, your health needs to be before your family, because especially with women, we tend to put ourselves last and put our family's needs first. We have to change that around, because if we don't take care of ourselves and make sure our needs are taken care of, we're not going to be able to effectively take care of our families. So with that, I will talk to you later. Be blessed. Bye-bye.